And so the last bill that we'll be addressing tonight is Native Educational Outcomes. And so I'll turn it back to Jean-Luc and also introduce Ella Blackowl. Ella Blackowl is an enrolled member of the Pawnee Nation of Oklahoma. She is the Director of Employment and Training at North American Indian Center of Boston. Over to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Samantha, once again, Tikach. And I just wanted to once again thank our representative, Nicola Gardo, for her support in filing an act providing for the creation of a permanent commission relative to the education of American Indian Alaska Native residents of the Commonwealth, H 582. And the history of this bill actually goes back. The basis of some of the thinking behind this bill goes back to a 2011 executive order signed by President Barack Obama, improving American Indian and Alaska Native educational opportunities and strengthening tribal colleges and universities. Of course, we don't have a TCU here in the Commonwealth, but you're hearing tonight. You're hearing a lot of the experiences from students, from educators. In a few seconds, I'm going to be turning it over to Ella, who's going to be speaking from the perspective of a parent. But this bill proposes an independent agency, a commission, which will investigate the use of resources from both public and private sectors to enhance and improve the ability of state agencies to provide educational opportunities and improving educational outcomes for American Indian and Alaska Native students in order to further tribal self-determination and to help ensure that students have an opportunity to learn their heritage languages and histories and to receive complete and competitive educations that prepare them for college, careers, and productive, satisfying lives. And there are basically two goals. The first being working in partnership with the Department of Education and Department of Public Health to create school-based and community-based programs focusing on suicide prevention. Our students are facing suicide rates 2 times that of their white peers. And of course, you can hear a lot of the tensions that they face within these institutions that exacerbate these issues: violence intervention and the promotion of zero tolerance policies regarding the harassment and discrimination against American Indian and Alaska Natives. And then secondly, the commission will make recommendations about policies and programs supporting American Indians and Alaska Natives on the ongoing basis to the Department of Education, the Department of Public Health, and the Executive Office of Health and Human Services. And so, as I said, I'm going to turn it over to Ella to bring in some perspective as a parent currently with students within our public school system. So, Ella.
Hello, thank you. Yes, as a parent to a middle school student and a high school student, I think it's very important for this bill to be passed and to have your support. Just with even all of the experiences shared this evening, those are things that students face every day. They've been impacted. And along with Jean-Luc, I'll mention, Michelle Obama. I was reading up a quote. She had said, folks in Indian country didn't just wake up one day with addiction problems. Poverty and violence didn't just randomly happen to this community. These issues are the result of a long history of systematic discrimination and abuse. That those are things that our children, our communities still go through, is that history of boarding schools, having to deal with, how their grandparents, their parents have been going, maintaining, just making, a way in society, even still being harassed or discriminated against. And then also, not even just dealing with the pandemic, but also with the boarding school kids, being found on the residential school, that just brings up a whole, folks have probably suppressed that and everything, but, those are things that, that historical trauma, our kids are going through and they deal with every day. Not to mention in the school systems and in the communities, being harassed at times or racially discriminated against, and sometimes it may even be by teachers. About 4 years ago, there was a unity conference here, and was able to take a few kids over from NAICOB and Native Lifelines, and hearing Mashpee students share how when they spoke up to the educational absence of the history of our history, or they correcting about Columbus, the pushback that they received from teachers, the discipline that they received from teachers, and it's not right, and it shouldn't be like that. When they have that, they have that right to speak up, because that truth is not told, as several have mentioned and have repeatedly been mentioning, over years, in support of these bills. And they all tie together. They all impact our kids and their their studying and their success, and the resources that are mentioned that will be part of this bill are very important, because we do see the effect of meth and suicide and violence, whether it be on the reservation or whether it be in the urban areas, that harassing, that racism. My own children, one of them, well, they both have had long hair throughout their lives at different times. My youngest, he is a 7th grader, and he has long hair, and he wears it down. And not only has he been harassed just for having long hair, but also called derogatory name, and so the added support of some schools, they have good resource officers, they have good staff members that are on top of trying to help educate about differences, being accepting to differences in race or life ways. And that's important too, is that's part of the important part of this, is we have such a rich, diverse lifeways. Each tribe that's represented here, each tribe that has moved here. I'm from Oklahoma, I'm Pawnee, and there are some similarities, but there are a lot of differences, and they're beautiful differences. We have different songs, we have different cultural ways, we have different foods, food sovereignty. That is something that is very important, especially at this time, to nourish our bodies, and it's a teaching, it's even a teaching, moment as well to non-natives, and the importance, not only like, you guys have mentioned the land acknowledgements, but also, just like I said, the lifeways. We have such a diverse, beautiful lifeways from all of the tribes here represented in Massachusetts, and from, so many across Indian country. And, it's crazy to think that they tried to kill that, our ways, when a lot of things that are here are based upon Native ways, life ways. And, it's just important that, we have the support for this bill. And I know I kind of went off on a different things, but, even within the school systems, I previously lived out west in the Berkshires. And, in the school system there, I worked in the school system as a sub teacher and as a one-on-one. And when, certain times would come up, we did have teachers that were willing to work and went the extra mile to ask, is this appropriate? The way they taught about certain times of the year, whether it be Thanksgiving or Columbus Day, what not to do. And you have those in some schools, and in some schools you do not. And in some schools, they're overcrowded, and the resources aren't there, the textbooks aren't there. And there's just so many things that need to, be supported. And this commission with these different department people and the 7 that will be put on by the Commission of Indian Affairs, it's very important to help our students, our Native people, Alaskan Natives, to be successful and to have those resources. And so I just encourage you to support it. Thank you for your time.
That's
Thank you so much for that introduction and explanation. And I just, something that sticks with me always with education is reflecting on the youth as our next generation of leaders. And if we don't support them, if we don't uplift them, we truly have no future. So the urgency is very there.